It's a historic year, a global pandemic that has affected all of us in one way or another.
All of us miss being together.
In East Lansing, the year began with the basketball team, poised to make another run in March Madness.
Good! He's an assassin!
And all that changed in one day.
Classes will be canceled.
50,000 students on the campus of MSU disappeared. The campus went dark, just like the Breslin Center. Businesses hung on, closed up, and tried to manage.
We're still doing good, still surviving.
Through it all, Focal Point has profiled the people who continue to fight through the strangest of years.
It's scary and strange times.
Just figuring out if we were gonna even be able to stay open.
That's what this special edition of Focal Point is all about.
Getting us to the 1-year mark.
The people and businesses still trying to get through it all. Focal Point starts right now.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of Focal Point. I'm Michaela Temple. The COVID-19 pandemic is one of the worst public health crises in history. It affects the way we socialize, the way we learn, and the way we dress. And of course, it affects our wallets. Businesses adapted, some closed. A lot of us work from home, some of us are laid off. Today we bring you the stories of hardship and hope. We begin today with Joe Freihofer. He's live about 2 blocks away on Grand River Avenue. He's at an East Lansing institution where the pandemic gives it a new chapter in its long story. Joe?
Yeah, hey Michaela, the Curious Bookshop has been through a whole lot out here on Grand River, through new giant high-rise apartments, commercial chain restaurants. This little tiny brick storefront here behind me has never budged. But back in March, this shop's story nearly came to an early ending.
I never know from one day to the next what I'm going to be coming across.
Life these days is filled with uncertainty.
Talking about yesterday or tomorrow.
But if you're Ray Walsh,
started selling books when I was a student at Michigan State.
You're used to it.
And kept on doing it for a while. That's, I guess, 50 years.
For 50 years.
I wasn't really planning on doing it, but it's been an interesting way to make a living.
Doing this, running the Curious Bookshop, a sliver of a storefront in downtown East Lansing. Over the years, he's given the shop some unique decor.
I still find things every day that are unsettling or humorous or, just penetrating in general,
He's 70. It was never a part of the plan to slow down.
I'm planning on living another 30 years anyhow, but then I'll be 100 and it'll probably be time to retire.
Nothing could end this bookshop story.
Are you all set?
Yep. Except a global pandemic.
It's scary and strange times, and we really don't know what to expect.
Well, obviously the concern of will we make it goes through your head.
COVID-19 forced the shop to close for 2 months, but Ray's employees didn't want a chapter like this to end the shop's story. So they started a GoFundMe and raised over $27,000.
Without it, we really would not have been able to survive.
It was really just like a bottom-up sort of like, let's try to do this thing.
Yep, thanks for stopping by.
But it's about more than just saving the shop. It's about saving the moments with the people.
I'm missing a lot of familiar faces, some who have passed away, some who moved.
The experiences.
You won't come across a dusty paperback that'll, just bring you back someplace. And that's why, we got to keep these places here.
That give each turn of life's pages its meaning.
Thank you, have a good one. You too.
Now, Michaela, this shop plans to continue and stay open through the duration of the pandemic between online sales, foot traffic, and the money already raised from the GoFundMe page. And as for Walsh, you heard it from him. He plans to keep on working for another 30 years. Here live on Grand River for Focal Point News, I'm Joe Freihofer.
Thank you, Joe. Curious Books has been a part of the East Lansing community for decades, but the pandemic has its grips on new businesses too. 20 minutes up the road in Williamston, Focal Point's Reagan Holgate visits a boutique that adjusted their business model to survive their first year. They're using new technology and old-fashioned customer service.
On a block among many, it's more than just a store. It was a wish.
Kind of our wish to own our own business.
That came true. A seed planted and blossomed into the Golden Dandelion.
I presented him with the idea. So what do you think about this? Do you want to be partners? And he said, yeah. Let's do it, Mom.
Sheila Gabriel and her son Garrett own the resale store in downtown Williamston.
Being in business with my mom is pretty cool.
August marked their 1-year anniversary. A first year unlike any other.
It was definitely worrying.
Due to COVID-19, the store had to close. Therefore, no walk-in customers. So the Golden Dandelion had to get creative. And what did they do instead? They took to Facebook Live.
We want to thank all you guys for making it possible to getting us to the 1-year mark.
We decided to just do more Facebook Live shows and show our merchandise.
Everybody's in the house.
We did really well through the COVID shutdown.
Receiving overwhelming support from customers.
We know a lot of our customers by their first and last name.
And creating relationships is what's most important.
We have personal connections with our customers.
Giving back to a community.
He's like, we got to give back to the people that give to us.
That has given them so much. In Williamston, Reagan Holgate, Focal Point News.
The Golden Dandelion goes live on Facebook every Tuesday and Thursday at 6:30, still finding a way to reach their customers in a now virtual world, and I might have to go check it out. Here in downtown East Lansing, another small business is trying to open, but the process hasn't been smooth. Sam Britton is live at the Edge. Sam, over to you.
Thanks, Michaela. Many businesses have struggled in the past couple months, but it's been even harder for new businesses trying to get started. Now, every business is going to have a couple delays when they try and get the doors open, but opening in the middle of a pandemic, well, that takes things up a notch.
I went to school for nursing.
Sometimes, Rowan Shops likes to live life on the edge.
We use all plant-based sweetener. It's all stevia.
Trying to open a business in the middle of a pandemic and work in the Air Force and have a full-time job as mom.
This is the look of a very crabby teething child. I currently fly to and from South Dakota still because I'm still a part of that base.
This is The Edge, East Lansing's latest healthy cafe with shakes, juices, and teas.
The shakes are a great meal replacement if you choose to do it that way.
This is Shops' second cafe.
We have our first location in Grand Rapids.
Another couple was going to open a franchise at this location, but walked away because they found a space closer to home.
We have our store in Grand Rapids and just decided, you know what? Let's take this one too and do a couple more. Keep it going.
It's hard to open a business in a pandemic. The shop stayed unfinished and unpolished.
We were so focused on our Grand Rapids location and just figuring out if we were going to even be able to stay open.
They even wondered themselves if this was a good idea.
We just decided, you know what, we're just going to open.
A soft launch set for November 14th had to be moved.
Everything was getting delayed with the city.
Then November 28th came and went. They had to wait for another approval.
Our clientele on Instagram's nonstop messaging us, you keep pushing back the date. When are you opening?
They are now planning on opening on the 12th, as the lockdown will be over by then.
We're just building that suspense.
It almost feels like watching paint dry.
The Edge will have a soft launch after the statewide lockdown is over, and their social media will have more information on when that will be. Back to you, Michaela.
Thank you, Sam. The Edge may just be opening here in East Lansing, but nationwide, restaurants are struggling. According to the National Restaurant Association, during the pandemic, 1 in 6 American restaurants have been forced to close their doors permanently. Lacey Hudson visited some local restaurants to see how they are staying open and staying safe.
Dining rooms may be closed, but the kitchen is open. Like here at No Tie in East Lansing.
Well, it's slow. So, I don't know, it's kind of up and down.
The coronavirus has forced many local restaurants in the heart of East Lansing to close down, and signs like these cover the city's storefronts. The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services has updated the requirements for indoor gatherings as a result of an increase in COVID-19 cases. Bars and restaurants are mostly affected, and they're asking that customers use dine-out options only.
We're still doing good, still surviving. It impacts us a lot for our revenues, but I mean, pretty much we're just hanging on.
No Tie is not the only business that's hanging on.
The business is like awful right now. There's like less people coming, and then we lost like customers just because of COVID. As a staff member, we will also worry about it because like even there's a glass, we will still worry about if we're gonna like affect it or not.
Masking up and carrying out are just a few things we can do.
I think it's going to be a financial hit no matter what you do. There's not much you can do, but we still have to prioritize human life over that.
Thank you, Lacey. As of today, no one in Michigan can sit inside a restaurant and eat. So where would you get food outside? The answer is farmers markets, even though the weather here might not be good for browsing for broccoli. Focal Point's Sade Moore took a trip to 2 local markets.
Fran wouldn't miss shopping here.
I come to the market every week.
Not even a pandemic keeps her away. While some businesses have closed, the East Lansing Farmers Market survives.
I think that there was a lot of unknown and uncertainty at the beginning of the season when we were planning things out.
With help from the County Health Department and the Michigan Farmers Market Association, farmers and vendors have continued with business as usual.
That both put out a lot of guidance to support our interpretations of the executive orders and better practices for safety.
Of course, pandemic or not, the farmers market season is over thanks to Michigan's weather. A few miles away, though, the Meridian Farmers Market continues. And for some sellers, they're not just hanging on, business is actually growing.
And yeah, this year has just been even better for business for me anyways.
Jermaine Heng, the owner of Fortune House, not only has egg rolls and spring rolls, but an excuse to get fresh air.
You know, people like to come out, shop, and just get out of the house too.
But that fresh air keeps getting crisper by the day here. The Meridian Farmers Market may be forced to reconsider once a month.
I mean, one thing we may consider doing is like a once a month market in January and February.
Sade Moore, Focal Point News.
Plenty of small business owners like farmers market vendors and shops on Grand River are adapting to the pandemic. But what about the biggest business in East Lansing? Coming up after a quick break, we'll take a look at how COVID-19 affects MSU and its students financially. Stay with us.
Michigan State said we will be the stake in the ground for public health in Flint. We want to create a viable public health model for other cities like Flint, where most importantly, the community has ownership of the outcome. We have multiple programs. We have the Flint Center for Health Equity Solutions. We have the Flint Lead Exposure Registry and the Strengthening Flint Families Initiative. Our work happens out there in the community with our partners.
Welcome back to this special edition of Focal Point. Before the break, we saw how small businesses are adapting to life in a global pandemic. Now let's look at much bigger businesses, universities. And we're beginning with 2 schools who usually aren't the best of friends, but they have one common problem. Jacob Lothamer has that story.
MSU's enrollment is down 900 students this fall compared to the same time last year.
East Lansing in general and the whole campus just feels super empty this year.
MSU undergraduate admissions director John Ambrose says it's not domestic students creating the decline.
Percentage of students that vastly made up that decrease were largely international students.
This contributes to the projected $54 million in revenue lost this year, and deep cuts had to be made, including salaries across the board.
The president was the first to take a pay reduction, and then consequently, I won't say consequently, but next, the MSU executive management took pay cuts as well.
While we did see a decrease of students here, let's check in to here at the University of Michigan.
U of M Senior Associate Admissions Director Kelly Cox says Michigan has yet to make a decision on their winter semester.
All of the advice they're getting from all the public health experts to figure out what that's going to look like.
Michigan's total enrollment increased by 63 students this fall. However, there was a 5% decrease in international students.
And then this year, seeing that drop off international students, I think what a lot of them are interested in is what is the mode of operation going to be? Can we do that from their home country, from staying there?
Michigan has a smaller percentage of incoming freshmen who are international students.
By design, only about 4% of our incoming first-year students are coming from international countries.
It's a completely different experience when students are learning from home instead of going away for the first time.
Freshman year, honestly, the social interaction that I was able to have with other students.
But for some kids, that will have to wait one more year. And the universities hope they can welcome everyone back to college before more cuts will need to be made. From East Lansing and Ann Arbor, I'm Jacob Lothman, Focal Point News.
Of course, we all want to get back to normal, even classes, but that could take some time. With fewer in-person classes, fewer students are living on campus. In a usual semester, 14,000 undergrads would move into the dorms. This fall, that number was less than 2,000. Focal Point's Taylor Gattoni has been checking out East Lansing's housing situation for us. So Taylor, if thousands of students aren't living in the dorms, where are they?
This year's housing situations are definitely different than they were in years prior, especially for freshmen.
It's a big change from high school to college and dorm life. And then the pandemic hit. Only 2,000 students were allowed to live on campus instead of the regular 14,500.
While Michigan State recommends that students stay home for the fall semester, most freshmen have not gotten the dorm experience or the college experience in general. But there is one freshman who found a way to live close to campus while still feeling at home.
Like freshman year, you usually meet people in the dorms.
Nana Chabria knew she couldn't live in a dorm, and she knew she may get homesick. So she found a way to feel at home. Her sister Ashka Chabria had an idea.
My sister was upset about the dorms closing.
So after Ashka's roommate decided to live at home,
And just take the other room, sublease it from the other girl.
Nana moved in to her new home, away from home.
In a sorority, I've met more people, had more opportunities.
Ashka already knows she'll be moving out of state next year after graduation, and her freshman sister did want to get the dorm experience, but after living in an apartment,
I think I'll probably stay off campus. I don't really think I would want to go into the dorms after having a full apartment.
And it's working out. Living with her sister, Nana has had help branching out and
It helps me get used to my classes.
It just kind of feels like we're at home.
As of now, Michigan State is planning for students to come back into the dorms this spring semester. Live in East Lansing, I'm Taylor Gattoni.
Thank you, Taylor. Fewer students on campus means fewer cafeteria workers, residence halls, receptionists, and maintenance staff. Over 700 workers were furloughed from their on-campus jobs this fall. But it's not just residence hall staff. In 2020, everybody has a story. Alexis Ayala is standing by inside the Breslin Center. Lexi, how is the pandemic affecting students in the sports industry?
Everyone has a story. That's why it's important we share both our strengths and our struggles with each other. That's really what the human condition is all about. One Michigan State student does just that, and with a smile on her face in spite of the struggles of 2020.
A lot of people are probably emotionally and physically drained from this year.
A familiar feeling for many, with a lot of uncertainty.
Again, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of things up in the air.
In April of 2020, unemployment rates in America hit numbers that compete with the Great Depression. Like many of us, this MSU student, Elias Bertrand, found herself jobless.
Over 700 people on Michigan State's campus lost their jobs. From students who worked at this dorm behind me, all the way over to
The Jack Breslin Student Event Center, which can hold 15,000 people, but not right now. Seems like Magic's the only one left.
Going back to fall of 2019, before COVID.
I just realized as a junior that broadcasting was something I really wanted to get into, and so I met with Matt McCullough and decided to join the team.
She's a student athlete, which, is a really rigorous schedule, so she didn't have as much opportunity, but, I wanted to make sure the opportunity she did get really counted for her.
Her job with BTN Student Youth started and ended in as quickly as 6 months.
Having to tell the students, hey, look, if you guys want to work this year, it's going to be a volunteer basis, and that's not ever something you want to say.
Though tough times keep coming,
the stress or anxiety,
even the hardest days can't steal her a smile.
This is just Aleas wanting to help people, wanting to inspire the world the best that I can.
She starts with herself.
So every single morning I'm getting up, I'm doing my yoga, read my Bible, to be in my word, and to really ground myself daily.
When she lost her opportunity to broadcast, she made a one-woman show with YouTube, where she can broadcast her story.
As Michigan State would say, it leaving my footprint, so.
After I got to know Aleas, I started adding more yoga to my mornings. And seriously, guys, you have to try it. I can literally feel the anxiety floating away from me. Michaela, please tell me you've tried yoga.
Absolutely, Lexi. After a little yoga, I feel my stress melt away, and that's something I think we all need this year. While Elias and hundreds of other students were out of work this fall, some were on the hunt for their very first job. Connie Rabani has the story.
2020 has been quite the ride for MSU students.
It definitely messed up a lot of my plans and made me feel like I wasn't quite sure what to do now.
Like a lot of students, Alana Barton, who happens to be my roommate, has felt change in every part of her life, from home to school and work.
I was in the process of trying to apply for jobs.
She was on the constant hunt for employment,
emailing some professors to see if they had anything available. However, I had not secured anything at the time.
COVID-19 has been impacting work ever since our first quarantine back in March, but months later, MSU students are still having trouble finding work experience outside of the classroom.
A now virtual classroom.
We're constantly badgering professors, looking for research opportunities, or we're always on Handshake.
Opportunities that go beyond getting work experience for the experience.
I started applying for jobs in October of 2019.
Gloria Kobler, a spring graduate from MSU, had a job before COVID. That was until she left it in February. She then started applying for jobs again.
Had a lot of positive job feedback, a couple job offers, and then due to COVID, those ended up not working out.
It's a similar story for Alana.
I'd originally had one planned, but because of COVID, it had completely derailed that.
Kind of hard when you're graduating and you think you have everything lined up, and then it kind of goes out the window.
Even though she was directly impacted then, right now, Gloria has a job. Her advice for those still applying is perseverance.
It can be rough. You kind of have to just keep motivation, especially now that's kind of hard, but it's probably the best thing I can say, just persevere.
In East Lansing, Connie Rabani, Focal Point News.
MSU's Career Services Network will add networking opportunities this spring, even more than they would during a normal year. These events will be held virtually. The Career Services Network is open remotely Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can schedule an appointment on Handshake by clicking on the Career Center tab. Good luck to all those graduating seniors on the job hunt. Any other year, those seniors would be putting on their caps and gowns and crossing the stage to get hard-earned diplomas. With no commencement this year, how is it going at spirit shops that sell caps and gowns? That story and more coming up after the break.
Recently, I collaborated with a graduate student to create the first sensory-friendly Spartan chamber music concert. The performance is tailored for anyone with sensory sensitivities. For many kids, this may be their first experience in a concert hall, and we want to make it an unforgettable experience. And I think that's what we've done. My name is Tasha Warren, and I am a Spartan.
Welcome back to this special edition of Focal Point. Today we're getting down to business and looking at how the pandemic affects the economy of East Lansing. From bookstores to MSU's enrollment, and now to gyms. Focal Point's Jordan Phillips went to IM West to see how COVID-19 affects membership.
Last spring, COVID-19 shut down nearly all buildings on the MSU campus. Athletics seemed stuck in the mud. Here at IM West, students and staff are working together to create a workout environment that is safe for everyone. Along with wearing masks and maintaining a 6-foot distance, Jody Strength says that IM West is prioritizing safety before students arrive at the building.
A couple of the main things is when you come to IM West, you have to have your health screening. You have to show it on your phone, the approved email.
For now, 71 people are allowed in the fitness center at one time. Connor Kempesty trusts that his safety is in good hands.
I'm not as worried here, but that's still a threat, obviously, but I feel like it's worth it because it's so much helpful lifting here.
After refunding income from the spring, IM West is caught in a difficult financial situation as memberships have dropped for the fall.
It's been a decline like we've never ever experienced before.
With 0 cases coming out of IM West, Jody is ready for the second wave of students arriving next semester, 2,500 to be exact.
There's going to be more of a need for our recreative space, say over at IM East. So we're looking forward to it. I mean, I'm hoping that we really can get open back up.
At IM West, Jordan Phillips, Focal Point News.
Strength says that the Air Force ROTC class is currently occupying IM East for drills and training, but the student access will be part of the reopening plan for January. Across campus at the Breslin Center, things look a little different this year. Normally, the arena would be packed with basketball fans buying tickets and concessions. Space would be rented out for conferences, receptions, luncheons, and more. Kayla Harris stopped by to see what's happening at the Breslin this year.
In a normal year, the Breslin Center is a beehive of activity, but the pandemic has left the massive arena silent.
Since March 15th, I believe, was the last time we had an event in Breslin Center.
The Breslin's Kat Cooper says basketball games, job fairs, and graduations have all been canceled. For the first time in months, basketballs are flying through the air again at the Breslin, but the stands remain dark and empty.
It's been so hard on the students, but it's been really hard on our team members too. We work here because we care about the students and about creating this college experience for y'all.
Graduation was supposed to be here, but now students will be behind their own screens celebrating their accomplishments at home. Like Nia Gray Davis.
I'd rather have some type of graduation than no graduation at all.
It's especially hard for Audrey Porter. She is a first-generation graduate and wanted to share the experience with her family.
I am kind of like hurt to not be able to walk. Figure I'll celebrate in another way.
Students are getting creative with their graduation plans despite their circumstances.
Go to dinner, have everybody in one room and watch it as if we are at graduation.
There is a possibility that graduation will be held in May, but that is not enough to keep some students here on campus.
I don't want to take any chances.
Absolutely not.
No.
For now, the Breslin remains mostly dark and silent. In East Lansing, Kayla Harris, Focal Point News.
The lights have been dark at the Breslin Center for most of the year, but things could be looking up. Basketball is back. There might not be any fans in the stands, but the Spartans are back on the court. There's another event we'd usually see at the Breslin Center, graduation. This year, the December ceremony is canceled, but are seniors still buying a cap and gown to celebrate?
When Spartan Stadium looked like this,
You are all set?
Spartan Spirit Shop would look like this.
I love that.
But busier.
Receipt with you in the bag?
Now with seats sitting empty,
Yeah, having no football has definitely affected apparel and everything else that has been purchased.
Stephanie Benkert doesn't see as much spirit walk through the door.
Walk-in business has been slower.
but knows the spirit is still alive.
People are buying online and picking up a lot more frequently.
It isn't just t-shirts and yard signs people are picking up,
We're here to pick up a cap and gown.
but graduation gear.
You want to go with this 6 foot?
Noah Happy and John O'Connor aren't buying for a winter ceremony,
I was looking forward to walk.
but to
Still live the graduation experience is something that we find valuable.
because this is the biggest time of their lives.
A bachelor's degree, especially from Michigan State, is pretty valuable, especially in our eyes.
Even if it is just for pictures.
We've seen a lot more of them outside taking pictures and celebrating in ways that are appropriate at this time.
Spring graduation is still up in the air,
We don't know what the university as a whole is planning on.
but seniors are still hoping to walk across the stage
You work hard for all that time. You're definitely looking forward to walking across the stage.
someday.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you very much.
I have to be able to choose the service group.
The Spirit Shop is open Monday through Friday 10 to 6 and Saturdays 9 to 5. Purchases can be made on the store's website for pickup to keep that MSU spirit alive. 2020 has been a hard year for everyone, but as we've seen in the last half hour, there is hope. Here in East Lansing and around the world, people are working hard to make it work. With determination and ingenuity, we are adapting, creating, and taking care of each other. I'm Michaela Temple. From all of us at Focal Point, thank you for watching and stay safe.